Okay. We have Elpa, Regania, Garcia, Panganan, Bicol, Maglana de la Paz, Almaria. Okay. Um, we were already done with the first section of theoretical background, which is the review of related literature. This time is we will be discussing the two remaining parts of the theoretical background, which are the theoretical framework and the conceptual framework. This topic or this discussion would be probably uh, the most difficult, the most perplexed part of the research process, because in conducting or crafting your theoretical framework, it's not that easy, because you have to read a lot, you have to analyze, you have to conduct thorough analysis, on your readings. You have to conceptualize, make themes, and do a lot of work when you create theoretical framework. You can even publish, a paper using a theoretical framework alone. When you study doctorate or masteral, creating a theory or even just a theoretical framework is already good to go. Because when you create a theory, Manggod, it will make your research as scientific as possible, because you do create a framework, you do create a skeleton, which is taken from other researches, from other published articles or scientific journals. So if you will create your own theoretical framework, then your research is really substantial and it is really something. There are researches, Manggod, especially in other school, and even here, when we had, nasa ako, my personal experience is that when we had our research before, during my time when I was like you guys, when I was in fourth year, fourth year, we do have tourism research. And then we were not really, sa ako lang niya, I just don't want to mention the teacher, we were not really introduced to the theoretical framework. What she did was, she just gave us the template, the template of chapter 1 to 3, and then kami na dayon, yan na migibiyaan without any intervention or without any feedbacking and consultation if our research is indeed correct or maybe wrong. So possibility is that if you don't have a solid theoretical framework, tendency is ang imuhang research or ang imuhang hardbound will just go to waste. Mga turag na siya sa basurahan. And I suppose that you have already seen, a lot of kanang mga Facebook meme nga daghan kaayo kanang mga, what do you call this, kana siyang mga hardbound na nara sa already in the landfill, because their research is not substantial. Some of their research are just copied, not even original. So if you create a research, you have to make sure that your research is really scientific and substantial as possible. So when creating a substantial research, there should have a very strong foundation, which is the theoretical framework. You could even use the theoretical framework as research publication. Just forget about the chapter 4 and chapter 5. You could just stop here as a theoretical framework if you want to publish. Later on, I will be showing with you how I did my theoretical framework, so as to give you, or just to guide you on how to create a theoretical framework. Because in research, para sa ako, I don't know with other researchers, Uh, for me, this is really difficult, very difficult part. That is why in baccalaureate degree, you are asked to do it by group. You cannot do it alone. Maybe if masteral na ka or doctorate, then you can do theoretical framework alone. But this time, dili pa gyud siya pwede kay it needs a lot of research. It needs a lot of reading, brainstorming, no, and all group activities that you could possibly do. I know that you have also other activities, not just creating research, but also maybe saying you have social entrepreneurship and then other activities in the program, no? Or in the course or in the particular level that you are now. Uh, you have a lot of activities, but mind you guys that this subject, tourism planning and development, in integrating research is one of the most important. Okay, so this time we will be discussing the last two parts of the theoretical background. Before tamungad to ni chapter 3, which is the last part of research, katong research methodology. But let us discuss first theoretical framework. Don't get overwhelmed with a moment. Don't get overwhelmed with these mga lines H1, H2, H3, H4. We will discuss it later on. And so you will understand how or what are these lines, what are these hypotheses stands for. Okay, so just sit back, relax, and if you have questions, can you raise your hands? No, because I want this discussion as thorough as in depth as possible. So if you want, if you need assistance, no, it maybe just to really understand some details, then don't hesitate to raise your hand. Okay. So before I will be showing with you the other elements of theoretical framework. Let us first define what is a theoretical framework. First, let us define theory. Okay, it is stated here that theory is a supposition or a system of ideas, no, intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles, independent of the thing to be explained. So when you say theory, it is not yet practical. It needs to be examined. It needs to be explained. It needs to be explored, no, with an empirical research. So something like this. In this study, this is actually a theoretical framework. In this study, he explains that if you want to have customer loyalty, that the customer will conduct word of mouth. I hope that, or I assume that you already know what is word of mouth. No, it's a marketing tool, no, that the customer or that the client would actually do the marketing in behalf of your company. And then customer satisfaction. So in attaining these dependent variables, or in attaining these target, is that you have to, or the company or the client will do something, like for example, expertise, process ease, something, inertia, flexibility, and freedom of choice, cross-product comparison, comparison necessity. So these are the antecedents, no, or we say, it's not the reasons, but it's antecedents. It's the happenings before the target. No, so when you do expertise processes, there is a peace of mind. When you do something like this, there would be an outcome focus. When you do flexibility, proactivity, there will be moments of truth, and freedom of choice, there will be product experience. So in this research, all of these variables, independent variables, would actually create customer experience quality. Okay, so with this experience, customer experience quality, there might be results. No, the results might vary. So in customers experience quality, the customer maybe would be loyal to your company, or maybe the customer would do word of mouth, or the customer would be satisfied with the company. But this is just a theory. Theory lang ni siya, no? Murabag, tag-an lang. So there is no empirical evidences that this is indeed true, or this is indeed applied in the real world. How do we assess a theory? So that is why you may need to go to the environment, create empirical research, such as example, peace of mind. This would be your research hypothesis 1, research hypothesis 2, research hypothesis 3, research hypothesis 4. So if you want to ensure that peace of mind is indeed an antecedent of customer experience, then you will go to the environment and do research. Okay, so maybe maghatag ba ka questionnaire. So and in your research, may baron ka nga, or in your hypothesis, may baron ka nga, peace of mind is an antecedent of, or there is a relationship between peace of mind or customer experience quality. Or pwede po mayroon ka nga, research hypothesis 1 is that peace of mind move customers to customer experience quality. So if imo na siyang ihatag ang questionnaire. Now, if sa imong result maingon nga kana siyang maingon sila nga agree, no, let's say for example, natay gitawag nga Likert scale na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That mo na siya dili mo check si respondents. So if example, ang inyuhang average is, let's say, 4.5. 4.5, no? And this is strongly disagree, neutral, agree, and then strongly agree. So since it's 4.5, it falls on agree. So therefore, customer experience is indeed an antecedent of customer experience. So accept the hypothesis, since your hypothesis man is indeed true, or your hypothesis is kuan siya kanang tag-ani mo siya, ang imong tag-an is tinuod sa imuhang true, or with siya kana siya is congruent with the result of your study. So maingon mo sa inyuhang research nga peace of mind is indeed an antecedent of customer experience, because the result of the study is weighted mean of 4.5, which means that the customer strongly agree. So if you will create a theory later on, this is just a theoretical framework pa man, no? So if you will create a theory, imo din ipabilin si peace of mind. Now, if mga na pud ka sa outcomes focus, and then here ang si customer is, or si respondent is 2 lang ang score. 2 means disagree. So for your outcomes focus, it is not an antecedent of customer experience. So that is why you have to erase this one. Erase, no? And kini siya, pabilin punuhay because it's maybe, for example, a 4.5 siya or agree siya. And then this one is disagree. So ang mahabilin is the moments of truth na lang, and then si outcomes focus, and then si peace of mind. So in your theory, later on, mo nga, based on empirical study, in creating customer experience quality, the strong antecedent is just peace of mind, mga POM, and moments of truth, MOT. And then, ana siya, customer experience. Okay, so wala na ni siya product experience and outcomes focus because in your study, dili man siya, wala may kuan ka na, the customer or the client have indeed, or the result is disagree. So, in your theory, kinaragid siya. Yun siya tawag ko na, for example, Maravilla, Theory of Customer Experience, or Maravilla 2020, or let's say kasama ito ang makuan diri, or let's say Theory of Customer Experience Quality by, let's say, ACAAP 2021. So you already have your theory, di ba? Pwede na mo mag-doctorate, or you could already graduate a doctorate degree because if in doctorate man God, you are asked to create a theory, okay? And pwede po siya nga kausa lang mo treat sa data, but to make it externally valid, like for example, di ba, if kini na siya nga environment, let's say Badjan Baron, or sa patuin nyo kan, let's say Panglao. So if sa Panglao lang ninyo siya i-treat, there could be possibility nga yes, okay siya sa Panglao, kuan siya kanang agree siya sa Panglao, but if imo siyang dalhon sa Badjan, mausab na pod ang iyang result. So if you really want to create a substantial theory, then you have to treat it using different environment. Na magani uban nga magkuan sila no, mag-theoretical background sila mag-research sila sa Luzon, sa Visayas, sa Mindanao, and then they're going to make sense of the data, like ila baron siyang after all the results ila collate, ila pa na siyang i-analyze maayo, so that they could really create kana siyang externally valid theories, dili lang kay sa usa ka environment. But with you guys, I know nga dili pa taani ha, wala pa ni siya ang kaning mga hypothesis testing. I know wala pa taaning kining going to the environment and doing empirical research. Dili pa taani because this would be on your chapter 4 and 5, which is really the most difficult part of conducting or crafting research kay mga tuman yun mo ana. But this time, this would only be usage, no, or utilizing secondary data. So that's the definition of a theory. Next is a framework. It is a basic structure underlying a system or concepts or text, such as this one. This is a framework, no? And if we will define theory and framework, would be a theoretical framework na is the structure. This is a structure, no, that can hold or support a theory of a research study. So that is why it is a must to really craft a theoretical framework so that it can support your research study. The theoretical framework introduces and describes the theory that explains why the research problem under study exists. Later on, it wouldn't be just one theory, but when creating or crafting a theoretical framework, there is this what we call integration of different theories. Kay, di ba, you have different subproblems, and your subproblems have its theoretical underpinning. So later on, you will make sense of those theoretical underpinning and create it as one structure, or commonly known as your theoretical framework. Okay. Next is, let's create a theory. Diba you have your SOP or statement of the problem. I hope that you could revisit your statement of the problem. You have your sub-problem 1 or SP1, right? You have your SP2, then go to SP5. Diba? You have created sub-problems. And in this case, I'm currently using 5 sub-problems. Okay? So, dito tayo magsugod sa statement of the problem. Next is, in your SP1, in your sub-problem 1, is naamoy ginatawag na section 1 or section 1 of your related literature. Diba? The structure of your related literature is from your statement of the problem. So if you have 5 sub-problems, then you might as well have 5 paragraphs in your review of related literature. So if example, I am just using the example from the study of Samoza's group, the micro enterprise in Bajan. Example, strategies. Ang ilahamang sub-problem 1 is develop strategies of micro enterprises. So for the first paragraph of your review of related literature is that you have to create or you have to do an essay of strategies of micro enterprises. But it is not just an essay, no, because diba, when you create or when you craft review of related literature, all the information should not be coming from your own observation. Ayaw gyud na siya. Please don't use your original observation or your own opinion in research. No? Ayaw gyud na siya. When we conduct research, copy and paste is the most important. But make sure that when you copy and paste, make sure that these sources are indeed reputable. Meaning, these are not from Wikipedia, not from any blogs, no, but this should be from a journal article, from a news clipping, no, something that couldn't be changed because Wikipedia, manggod, it could be changed, and in blogs you could actually edit the content of the blog, but for the published journal article, di na jud na siya ma-change. For the news clipping, di na jud na siya ma-change. No, so sometimes manggod, yes, you have you have already the result. But then if mangita si panel sa imuhang review of related literature, and then you are using Wikipedia sa imuhang RRL1 or sa paragraph 1 in your RRL, and then get change na sa editor ang iyang content, pagbasa ni mo, wala lagi diri ang ako ang gisuwat. Yes, because it has been changed already. So mind you guys, please don't use Wikipedia and blogs, no, from the internet. Ayaw gid mo gamit ana. Practice downloading or reading journal article using Google Scholar. So kini siya, for example, so let's say the group of Ken have already created an essay of strategies of micro enterprises. Please make sure, no, that every statement has a citation. Let's say, for example, strategies of micro enterprise could actually elevate or increase profitability of the company. Kinsa may nagsulti ana, asam na nimo siya copy paste. So nagsulti pa rin, let's say for example si Ma'am Jana na ko na Resos, ana, so siya ko na ang author ani, and then she published this in 2021. So 2021. Or pwede po siya balihon. If mo na siya i-transfer sa atubangan, pwede mo maingon nga, according to Resos 2021, strategies for micro enterprise could actually ingon ana. And the next na po na statement. So, in addition, Chris or De La Peña 2021 or De La Peña 2018 mentioned that strategies for micro enterprise blah blah blah. So dapat taga-statement or taga-sentence na agad siya citation. Okay? If, example, si Kiniresos 2016, no? Kiniresos 2016, nagkuan siya, taas ang iyang gisulti, and then she added something. Pwede na gid ka maingon nga, let's say, strategies for micro enterprises, blah, blah, blah. In addition, she also mentioned, pwede ra na siya. But if na namoy lahi na pod nga context or lahi na pod nga statement, is naagid siya dapat citation. Dili gid siya pwede nga your own personal perspective or personal opinion. Di jud ko musugot ana. Okay, kaya we are not yet scholars. We haven't proven anything yet. Even ako, I have already published articles, but I haven't proven anything yet. So even in my researches, wala yun ko yung own opinion. Tanang yun na siya is taken, no? Or are taken from reputable journal resources. And mind you guys, if daghan kayo citation, it would make your research kanang bugat kaayo siya nga research. Meaning, many people would look up to you because you have indeed conducted extracted a lot of information, significant information to make your study as in-depth and as thorough as possible. So, ingon ana ang research. Okay? Ayaw gid mo anang magsuwat-suwat mo ayaw man. And kuan pod kanang suggestion is that when you read mga articles, there would be a tendency nga your line of reasoning or the way you write researches or the way you write your paper is inyo na siyang ma-imitate, no, mamimik na ninyo tong si researcher nga inyong giangkuran. Like, let's say, para sa ako, before, I am not really fond of writing researches. But when I read mga researches, I eventually imitated and mimic how they write the researches. Kanang kuan ba, masundog-sundog na nako ang ilahang mga wordings, ang ilahang mga sentence construction, no? So mo na siya that's the beauty of reading journal articles because imo siyang ma-imitate ang ilahang pagsuwat. Now, okay, so enough na taaning RRL1. So after crafting or doing an essay of your SP1 or your sub-problem 1, di ba nagbuhat na pod mo og another paragraph for statement of the problem 2. And then another paragraph of statement for the SP3, another is SP4 and SP5. Okay? In some there are instances where you don't need to write SC5 because sometimes your SC5 is your dependent variable, meaning the article or the action plan of your SP5 depends on your SP1, SP2, SP3, SP4. It depends on the result of your SP1 before you could come up. Because sometimes, manggod, our SP5 is creating strategies for the development, or let's say creating strategies for the benefit of for the benefit of your research. So sometimes wala na siya labot. But there are also researchers that would also include SP5 in their strategies for micro enterprises. So for example, ang inyong SP5 is with the result of the study, the researchers or the researcher would want to develop strategies for blah blah blah. So mangita gihapon mo og article nga would develop strategies for something. So, yung po siyang ibutang din yung naana. Okay, so sometimes di siya ibutang, but I would suggest nga inyo siyang butangan para at least later on sa inyong recommendation sa inyong chapter 5, diri mo manguha og mga idea sa inyong sa inyong SC5 na okay, in developing strategies di ay dapat kini akong paon kini. So inganaon siya. So you already have 5 paragraph of your RRL. I hope that nakasugod na mo sa inyong RRL. Okay, there's only one group na nagpa-consult sa ako. I think that was the group of Gordilio. Ilahag promoting Panglao Island or developing greener initiatives for Panglao Island. Panglao, Alona Beach in Panglao. Yeah. I hope that you could already calendar or create a schedule for the consultation sa inyo. Guys, we only have pila na lang ka weeks and then humana. I don't want to give INCs sa inyong grade. So kana. Next is kini siya. So for example, nanamoy RRL1. So in your RRL1, in your first paragraph is mangita mo, you need to seek for a related theory. So nanamoy mangita jud mo ani nga dapat na may theory. But imaginary lang ni siya, inyo siya isuwat sa inyong notebook nga okay, for RRL1 paragraph 1, strategies for micro enterprises. Ang among theory ani is a theory of ni Koan. Say for example, let's say Maravilla 2019, iyahan ang theory. Unsa ko mapapangita og theory? Very simple. You could search using Google Scholar, or you could also search Mendeley. You could also go to ResearchGate or Academia Edu, Open Access, Emerald Publishing, and of course Taylor and Francis. So, with utilizing this search engine for researches, dili jud mangita og theory. There are researches in Google Scholar that couldn't be downloaded because you have to pay for it. I would suggest na you would go to Open Access because there are ample of researches there that you could actually download. I also forgot that SSRN is also a good SSRN is also an excellent research engine for looking for mga scientific journal article. Okay, you can use Google Scholar, you can also use Mendeley or ResearchGate. Sometimes in ResearchGate, I also have my ResearchGate account, and some of my published articles, I actually upload it in ResearchGate so that other researchers could also download it and could also read my research. So for me, this one is also a very good source for journal article ResearchGate. You don't have to pay. You can go to Open Access, ResearchGate, but if you want the generic search, then go for Google Scholar. Just make sure that wala siya bayad. Okay, sometimes researches or the published researches are really expensive. It could range from $30 to $500. So if I'm you, then go for open access. There are also theme research engines such as this one, Routledge and Taylor and Francis. This one in this search engine, you can actually locate or search ample tourism and hospitality researches. Pwede na siya sa Taylor and Francis. Kini siya, mo ni ang inyong dapat i-visit. Don't visit sa kanang Google lang. However, pwede sad kaayo, no? Pwede sad kaayo. Example, kaganina, so I already have my RRL paragraph 1. The micro, imo na siya pangitaon yun. Micro Enterprise Strategy Theory. So mangita mo. Sa akong case na ako'y nakitaan, this one, kini. Kung halaubi bitaw, no? So this is a really good theoretical background for my research. So kini siya, imo na siya i-click. Click ko no hay nimo nga. When you click that, mo na siya ang magawa. See, still, even though inyong gigamit is si Google Images, pag imo siyang i-click, mo redirect siya ngadto ni journal. So you can actually use this because this is scientific published. It's a journal article, and this is written by Junior, Jimenez, and Damke. So you already have you already have the author of the theory. So imo siya ibot lang strategic theory by Junior, since tolo naman sila kabuok, Junior et al. Ano siya gi-published 2018. So muna siya ang iyang publication date, 2018. So nanamoy theory sa inyong paragraph 1. Okay, inyo man na i-combine ang mga theories. Okay? So example lang ni siya. And then sometimes ayaw lang gid kaayo siyang after collecting the theoretical framework from this particular research study is that mauna dayon ayo sa para mo, so that in order for you to defend your theory, you have to read the abstract first. You have to read the abstract. And then sometimes the abstract manggod, iyang siyang ikuan kanang the abstract will give you the overview of, like say a summary, but it will give you the overview of the study, and then it will also give you the result of the study. And then after reading the abstract, then go directly to the theoretical framework na inyong kwaon. So kini siya. Dapat naman na siya, when you came across to this theoretical framework, na ano siya mga discussion. So basaha ang discussion sa ubos so that inyo siyang ma-digest, and then after that inyo na siya after digesting, then you could already appreciate and understand the concept behind this framework. Okay? And then after, matudayin mo sa conclusion with the aid of abstract, and then the discussion of the theory, and then the conclusion. Kasabot na tayo mo kung saan na niya ang what do we mean by
kita ang mama.
Let's naman siya.
Ngano Kisa mo rin ang labad eh. Nga mas mama ni mo.
Okay, sa Alugwin ng laba sa Alugwin. Okay. Let's continue. So now this one, so abstract, your framework, and then your conclusion. After reading the conclusion, inyo na siya, mo din na yung study di ay. So at least ba, you could already defend no your theories, and you have this understanding yun nga mas di na ka musot-suot og theory, but dapat na-adyo kay background ba, na-adyo kay ka na siya mental mental background, maka-defend gid ka if you would be asked what do you mean by that theory. So at least naaban kahit 1 or 3 statements na imong ma-answer sa panel. Okay, so let's create a theoretical framework. So you have SP1 to SP5, no, mo na siya kunuhay. So statement problem number 1 or sub-problem 1 to sub-problem 5. So itong buhaton. So di ba, ako agad-show ninyo kaganina. You have your RRL, paragraph 1 for your RRL. And then after, you have already identified what particular theory would you anchor to your paragraph 1. So let's say, for example, we have actually got the theory of Junior et al. 2018, which is entitled MSME Strategy. So another nasad is na nasad mo section RRL 2 or paragraph 2, RRL to RRL paragraph 5. And please make sure that all of these paragraphs have its corresponding theory. Okay, so theory for the paragraph 2, theory for paragraph 3, up to theory to paragraph 5. So, nanamoy theories, nanamoy 5 kabuk theories. So, sir, unsay buhato na mo aning 5 kabuk theories? What we will do is something like this. So, okay, so, theory number 1, theory 5, theory 4, theory 5, theory 4. Sometimes sa inyo, sa mga researches, kini nga mga theory is buhato ni siya as variable. We do have 2 variables, no? The dependent variable or the independent variable. The independent variable are those variables that could stand alone. The dependent variable is, of course, the variable, kini siya theory 5, a variable that couldn't stand alone. So, saan man to siya pakahibaw nga, how do we know that these are actually independent variable? So, for example, let's say, for theory 1, that's actually SME strategies. SME strategies. Okay. So, pagkuan mo kana siyang mga tubaron mo, you will visit or you will conduct a data gathering. And in your data gathering, you could actually create or you could actually create a result on your SME strategies. So for example, mayroon ba rin mga kaya pwede ko mangayo sa inyong SP, inyong pinakalas na sub-problem. Do we have here the representative of katong sa Badjan? Ano to inyong statement, last statement of the last sub-problem? Pwede ko makakuha. Ano siya mo ang example? Sa Moza?
Sir, wait, sir.
Okay, wait.
Related to answer ka ng developing strategies to attract more tourists despite pandemic, sir.
Developing strategies, no?
Yes, sir.
Na despite pandemic. Okay, so the aim or the target, no, one of the ultimate objective of Samoza's group is to develop strategies despite pandemic. So how will they able to develop strategies? So when developing strategies, they are dependent on different theories. Like for example, strategies for MSMEs. So mangita sa ilahang review of related literature, mangita sila nga tuog strategies for micro small or MSME. So let's say for example, mo na siya ang ilang na-develop na strategy, no? Ay mo na develop, mo na ilang nakitaan sa ilang RRL. Strategy 1 is yun siya, mo na siya. Strategy 2, strategy 3, strategy 4, strategy 5. Okay. So para ma-contextualize siya ngadto sa sa pandemic, di ba ilaha mo nakitaan nga mga ilang nakitaan nga strategies are not conducive for the pandemic era or the pandemic time. So they have to contextualize it. They have to contextualize using the pandemic as their moderating variable. So okay, so moderating variable is mo na siya ang ma-change, no? Ma-change mindset, no? Ma-change ang mindset sa because 'di ba when we think of strategies for micro MSMEs, we always think of generic. But if imong i-inject din si example mo na siya si pandemic, if imo na siyang i-inject si pandemic sa tanan-tanan ng mga questions ninyo, mausab ang iyahang mindset. Okay, strategies di ay for pandemic ang dapat isuwat. Let's say for example, strategic 1 isuwat ngadto sa article nila Kenneth nga. Example lang niha nga for MSMEs is strategic 1 is to market or marketing products using social media. So mo na siya yung first strategy. Second strategy is hiring qualified applicants. So in order for the MSMEs to survive in the marketplace, then they have to conduct all of these marketing or all of these strategies. But pandemic manggod siya, so therefore i-inject ninyo siya butangan na generic, no? Let's say mga marketing resources, marketing strategies in social media during the pandemic time. Do you agree? Or do you disagree? Or strongly disagree? Disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree. So mo-check na nanganha si mo-check na nanganha si respondents. So mo rin sila sila, agree sila. And the next na po ng question, agree sila. But this would be on your chapter 4. I am just showing it with you guys, but at least you have this you have this advance nga halay ani undi na mo research guys. Yeah, research could be a very difficult part of college life. Even kami sa ako, mag-away sa ako ang mga classmates before. So that's how we do theoretical framework. So ayaw lang sa taaning mga yung ani, but muna siya ang direction. So let's say for example, you have your theory, nga sa inyong theory, para sa inyo ha, ang inyong theory nga MSMEs could actually move to developing strategies for pandemic. Nituo mo, no? Sila Kenneth nituo nga ang theory ni micro, small, and medium enterprises is makatabang in developing strategies na ay nag-chat. Sir, pwede maka-review sa recording, ani? Yeah, ako man siya gikuan, ako siya gi-record. Okay. And then, theory 2 gihapon, mura gihapon siya. Ganituo mo nga si theory 2 maka-help no in developing strategies for pandemic and so on and so forth. So kini siya nga mga theories, inyong anchored theories is para sa inyong gamit siya when developing strategies. So later on sa inyong chapter 4, inyo siyang i-test if gamit ba gyud siya. Okay, that's your personal view man as researcher. But when you treat the data, when you go to the environment, mausab siya. Kay that's the perspective of the respondents. So dapat ang respondents ang masunod dili kita because we're just doing research. But para sa ato scientifically forming the framework, we believe no para sa ato kini siya kay because according to mga researches makatabang gid siya. Okay, so ato siya i-treat chapter 4, so dili na sa taan na advance sa kayo. Okay, let's go back to so theory 1 to theory 4. Okay, nakuha na ninyo siya guys when we create theoretical framework. This is already a theoretical framework na pwede na ni siya. Nakuha ra? Ang kini siya nga kuan. This is theoretical framework. TF already.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, nakuha ra man. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Pwede po siya yung ani. Example lang niya. So we have still the same gapon. We have first theory, second theory, and third theory. But sa inyong fourth theory, niingon siya nga to nga kuan kasi theory nga before ka maka-develop og strategies for pandemic is that naa siya kuan, you have to naa siya theory nga makaingon niya kanang kuan, you have to do something. So si theory 1 mo agi sa siya ni theory 4, theory 2 and theory 3. And then later on maka-create na ka og or theory 4 is actually the antecedent na for theory 5. So ang sabi mga examples ani. Ato lang siya i-example ha. So sila nituo sila nga the micro enterprise theory, ato lang siya ibutang. MT lang kunuhay ni siya. MT micro enterprise theory is nituo sila nga it could actually help in crafting or developing strategies for the micro enterprises during the pandemic. So muna ilahang ganahan. Yan na po theory 2, theory 3. However, si theory 5 niingon siya nga kanang kini inyuhang micro theory gamit lang ni siya if na ay mga ingon-ani. Plus example, let's say government protocol, sa paman health protocols, ingon-ana. So lahi na po niya siya nga theoretical framework. So pwede example ka na kung kini inyong ganahan naa siya intervening variable, maka gamit siya kay kung pwede man good moing ka nga micro theory diretso siya ani, pero wala siya integration with the health protocol, wala siya integration sa mga social war para ang inyong theory 5 or inyong if when you already craft or create your development strategies is kuan yun siya naka-anchor gid siya with the intervening variable pareha aning theory 4. So kana. Now let me just show you how I did my theoretical framework. So yes, I created a theoretical framework of social entrepreneurship engagement. I have actually presented this during the International Conference on Business and Economy. No, so ginani na ko siya pagbuhat. So my research objective is kini lang yun. Determine the social entrepreneurship engagement antecedents and create a theoretical framework for social entrepreneurship engagement. So kita mo nga duha ra ka ang research objective kay ang ako ra man gusto is mag-create lang gyud og theoretical framework, but I couldn't do it without the antecedents, no, without the mga variables. So nangita ko kanang mga statements nga mo back up no sa ako ang theoretical framework. So di ba nangita ko antecedents. So niingon siya nganhi na si Karsud and Branbach 2011 nisulti siya nga motivation is an essential factor in entrepreneurial engagement that plays a significant role in the development and growth of the enterprise. So my first antecedent is motivation. Kaya nga naman, nisulti man si Karsud and Branbach nga essential factor siya when we engage in entrepreneurial activities. Next na sad, the background of social entrepreneurs is essential in the desirability of launching a social enterprise. Again, this is my antecedent na sad. Nga naman, because gisulti man siya ni Mayer and Opo 2006. Now, culture as a normative background may affect the engagement towards venturing into social enterprise. Muna siya gisulti ni Mueller and Thomas 11. So, I already have motivation and culture. Culture is under siya ni under siya ni background. Okay, so nagkuan ko no, nagbasa-basa ko og mga articles. So, example, kini social and commercial entrepreneurship, psychological characterization, motivations of social entrepreneurship. Daghan ko gibasa ng mga articles. So after reading all the articles, akong gikuan is I actually created a meta-analysis. Example, muna siya ang mga article, muna siya ang mga authors sa akong gipambasa ng mga article. O niya, mapod niyang ilahang mga research findings. So, kini siya mo ni mga research findings. Buhat ko ingon ani. Sa ilang research findings, nabuhat kog theme, no? So, example, kini si Mueller et al. O si Bargstead, ang ilang findings is personal motives is a strong predictor for SE engagement or social entrepreneurship engagement. O niya, si Bargstead po sa iyang study, ang iyang findings is participants are more oriented with self-direction to engage in SE. So kini si personal motives and si self-direction, unsa man ni sila nga theory. So nangita kog theory no nga makaingon ko nga unsa kay ang core theory na ko ani. So pag-search na ko, ang theory di is theory of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, particularly in the personal fulfillment. Di ba pinaka-pyramid mo na siya? Yung sa pinakataas is the self-actualization or the personal fulfillment. So muna siya ako ang theory. First theory na ko sa ako ang RRL paragraph 1. Now next is Braga et al. And Cristipolo. So si Braga et al. Isulti siya nga participants are motivated to engage in SE because they want to create and innovate. So muna siya ako ang one of the essential constructs o niya si Sequeira et al. Po disulti po siya nga participants are motivated with social ties. So unsa man ni nga theory si social ties o si create and innovate. Mangita na pud ko search na pud ko. And according to sa ako ang nakitaan, it's actually the achievement orientation theory from McClelland, no? 2011. So McClelland 2011. And yet Shaki and Krupp, nakita na pud ko theory ani nila, it's actually the compassion theory of Miller et al. 2012. Nakita na po kung theory na po ni Braga et al. And ni Braga et al. 2015 and Wermack Robinson ni Soltish. And then that's actually non-monetary recognition theory. So you see, I already have 4 theories, no? The Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the theory, the need theory of McClelland, the compassion theory of Miller et al. And non-monetary recognition of Silverman 2012. So nana ko'y upat ka theories. Sir, unsay buhat po nato anang upat ka theories? Okay. And then, di ba, first antecedent is motivation man. Dinangita na pud ko o culture. Di ba, duha man to ako motivation and culture. So, nangita na po ko culture. The same gihapon, author, and then findings, and then the conclusion of the study. Okay? So, kanya siya. Kini mo siya nga variable is actually because di ba we have a different culture and sometimes our culture is different from other culture. No, we have example countries with high tolerance and there are also countries that are low tolerance. No, so kini siya ako siyang gikuan. Yeah, according to researches, high tolerance for risk daw is an antecedent or katong mga tao nga mga risk taker mo sila ang mga tao nga ganahan mo engage into social venture. Sa kinilipod nga study is ang conclusion is ang katuda ko ng mga tao na collectivistic, meaning katong mga tao nga ganahan sila mo conduct of something for the benefit of the common good, no, for the benefit of the group, dili lang i-benefit sa individual but group, mondo kung ganun sila ang mga tao nga ganahan mo engage into social enterprise and so on and so forth. So I already have my supporting information sa ako ang cultural backgrounds. Ano siya? So risk taker, collectivistic, kinino low power distance nga mga culture. So akong mag-conceptual mapping na dayon mo. So sa inyong conceptual mapping, ang inyong buhaton is inyo siya ilista. Pwede to ninyo gamiton na katong gibuhat ka ganina nga meta-analysis katong murag table presentation. O pwede po mo gamit og conceptual mapping. So ingon anion siya ninyo pagbuhat. Okay nga, di ba? Si personal motives o si career identity mo na siya ang personal fulfillment nga theory. Kini si create and innovate o si success mo na si achievement orientation nga theory, and so on and so forth. Si compassion and then si non-monetary. And then yes, kini nga mga theories are actually part or under the motivation variable. Okay, kay mga motivational theories man sila. So, under sila sa motivation variable. Now, nanapod ko ilahi ng mga theories here. Wait. Okay, collective individualism, power distance, tolerance for risk, ana. H1. Okay, so later on sa ako ang chapter 4 or sa ako ang when I would want to make it as empirical study, dinagbuhat ko og mga hypothesis. I actually have 5 hypotheses na ingon ko nga if high tolerance for risk ang usa ka community naa siya tendency nga ang iyang motivation is high, no? Iyang motivation sa SE engagement or engaging social enterprise is high. Kini man gud siya nga high tolerance for risk, kini mga collectivism, power distance, masculinity, feminism, kini siya is just on paper, mga qualitative data lang ni siya. Wala pa gid siya gi-test o empirical, wala meaning wala pa yung mga numbers, no, wala pa yung mga quantitative treatment. So suwat-suwat ra gid ni siya ang tanan. So para mahimo siya nga tinuod na theory, mag-create kag mga you have to conduct yun data gathering, but kuan naman ni siya, no, kanang theoretical framework naman ni siya. So ayaw lang sa among aning hypothesis, kini lang sa siya, this is actually already a theoretical framework. Kung imo siyang no, since I've already conducted naman, nahuman naman din ako siya nga research. So na ako yung mga mga results, no? Sa ako ang research na gyud, ang cultural background ra nga makaingon ka nga kana siyang motivated gyud ang usa ka community nga mong engage in social enterprise are those community nga with very strong collectivism culture. Kining mga low power distance and all cultural cultural factors, they are not a strong predictor nga makamotivate ni community. So with a strong collectivistic culture, siya ra gyud ang makamotivate. So sa ako ang research pukod, sa ako ang theory is gidelete na ako siya, kini lang mahabilin. Collectivism and motivation, and then SE engagement. So that's how you do conceptual, that's how you do theoretical framework. Listen, Charles. I know nga, siya, no, kanang madugo yun siya when you conduct theoretical framework. Don't worry, guys. Please, patabang lang yun muna po sa inyo especially sa consultation. Nga, sir, research na cute, sir. Sa mong buhaton, ani. Yan, ana. And also, tanawa lang yun balik ang recording. Inyo rin yun siyang makuha. Okay, nga niyo. So that's for the theoretical framework. Now let's go for conceptual framework. Conceptual framework is just a very simple framework, no, structure to do. Pinaka-simple ni siyang conceptual framework. Di ba, you have man your SE, sub-problem 1. Yeah, sub-problem 1. And then you have sub-problem 2, sub-problem 3, and then sub-problem 4, sub-problem 5. Kamu na ibahala sa inyong conceptual framework. Let's say, for example, in your sub-problem 1, ingon mo nga, determine or identify strategies for micro and small enterprises. So naka-determine na mo. So unsay buhaton ninyo ana? Pwede ba siya nga kanang inyo siyang inyong statement of the problem 2 is determine the level of community acceptance or community willingness of your actions or your action plans. So kini siya makamoderate ba siya, depende ra gyud niya siya, mura siya guide ba, mura siya blueprint kung unsaon ninyo pag-conduct ang inyong research, no? And then maybe you would try to look for if there is a significant relationship of your statement problem 2 and statement problem 3, no? Kini siya example lang nako. And the result of the significant relationship would be your basis for sub-problem 4. And your sub-problem 4 would actually your basis for sub-problem 5. So there is no standard framework when you do a conceptual framework because it depends man sa inyong statement of the problem. But we just want to reiterate that this conceptual framework is actually your blueprint and how you conduct your research. What about Muna siya amo ang answer, mo siya process flow ba, no? Kumbaga, before ninyo siya ma-reach ni ma-target ninyong objective is you have to conduct mga activities sa inyong sub-problems para mahimo ni siya si developing strategies. All you have to do is just to do or to create process flow. Process flow na gid siya, but in research we call it conceptual framework. Okay? So that's how you conduct or how you craft the conceptual framework. Conceptual framework is easy, as compared to theoretical framework, because in theoretical framework, it needs a lot of readings, analysis, and of course, brainstorming. Okay, so that's the last two parts of the theoretical background. Our next topic is research methods. So please don't be absent with the research methods, with our next meeting, because this is actually also one of the most essential and critical part of conducting a research. And mind you guys, is also the last part of our research proposal, or the last part of this, the last part of our topic. So please don't be absent. Okay? Questions? Sir, grabe lagi sir ka ng ano sa ninyo hang na find out or sa ninyo hang insight. Lisod ba sa research? That's just one one part of conducting a research. That is why daghan kaayo kanang mga dili kaayo ingon ana kapaspas mo kabuhat og research, because there are a lot of considerations. Daghan kaayo tan-awon mga areas when you do a research, especially presenting a research. Daghan kaayo og mga experts and scholars who ask, how did you do the theoretical framework? What is your theoretical underpinning? Could you explain something? Ingon ana, so when we kuan kaayo kanang kami na gani ang present sa among research, maraming makulbaan kay you are presenting your paper to these experts, and then maybe there are also areas na overlook. So lisod kaayo siya i-defend sometimes. Maraming bubalik sa pagka-student mga yun ana, because you will be presenting your research in different panel of experts. But that is really good when you present your research, because that's an indication that you are really strong and that you are really serious in developing your research, because you need to solicit inputs from the experts. Sir, makita na mo sa YouTube ang record today. Yeah, I will be sharing with you the YouTube link for this synchronous class, synchronous session. Okay, it's almost at 12, and I hope that I made sense in creating or discussing with you the theoretical background. Okay, before sa amuha, gihatag ra gyud siya diretso. Okay, this is your template. All you have to do is just to do it by yourself. So wala mi kabon kung sa man theoretical background, asa mangita ani. So lisod kaayo siya, and then the time nga nag-panel nami nag-oral defense nami nga ngaming tanan, tendency is basta kag may grado, and then tendency is dili ma-fail mi sa amuang research sa among research course kana research subject. So I hope that this synchronous session have actually enlightened you on how to conduct theoretical framework. Okay, questions? More than questions?
Sir,
yes.
excuse me, sir. Same magyapon ang groupings, sir, sa thesis next year, sir, or posibleng malaki, sir?
Depende siya if mag-classmates gihapon mong, di ba, 5 ba makabuok or 7 man siguro mo ani or 8. If mag-classmate mong 8 sa usa ka section, then probably parihag gid siya. Kay ang kwan mo ani goal mo gud ani is dapat kung kisa to imong ka group is the same ra gihapon ang inyong para ma-continue ni siya ninyo nga research kay di ba po pwedeng mahugla ni siya sa wala. So you should continue this research. Possible siya if na classmates mo or dili. Then tendency might be, example, 7 mo kabuok, unya ang duha kabuok kay lahi nga block. So matipok na lang sila sa lahi nga block, I mean sa lahi nga group, and then the 5 would continue and they may need to recruit another 2 para sa ilahang to continue the research. So ingon ana mahita po.
Thank you, sir.
But the design is dapat mag-uban gyud mong 8 or 7 kay para ma-continue siya. But if not, no, there are really unprecedented mga events or kanang mga unpredicted circumstances nga basin di mo magkauban. So mo na siya ang best resolution para sa amo ang teachers nga how do we go about this? So pwede na siya kung kamong 4 or 5 kabuok, mangita na lang mo inyong additional members kay para ma-7 gihapon or may. I don't know with Ma'am Gantalaw kung pila ka po iyaha because there are actually 2 teachers na nag-teach aning course na so ako si Ma'am Gantalaw. I don't know if pila ka po ang iyahang groupings, if members of the group wala sa ko hibaw. So sige na lang maybe maximum good job 8 so kana I hope that I could still be your teacher no in sa inyong research too kay para at least ato ni siyang ma-polish no ato siyang I could give substantial input pa sa inyong research nga na. Okay, sige, so if there's no question you could actually schedule for a consultation para sa inyong RRL and theoretical framework. And also I have added another it's a module but another assessment bar sa inyong canvas for the theoretical framework. And then there is also dito no they call it a peer evaluation solely for leaders only. Okay, so please guys contribute sa inyong output. Okay. And you have your final grade ani is your group grade divided by your individual peer evaluation. So mo na siya. And then of course no the attendance, so 5%. Ana lang siya. Okay, no questions? Ask me questions. So there's no question naman siguro. So I hope that it's all clear. No? Sige, see you next meeting guys, next Wednesday. And I hope that please na craft your theoretical framework, a theoretical background. No, I would still be willing, I'll be glad to help you guys. Please lang sad ang consultation dapat gabi. Ayaw ng buntag kaya I'm very busy no doing school stuff, academic stuff. So dapat gabi siya kay kanang gabi kuana kanang wala na ko'y trabaho una. Okay, sige. Let's call it a day. Be safe and see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Sir,
Thank you, sir.
sir,
Yeah.
ang point sa overloading, sir, ba, pwede man na sa 4th year first semester, sa bisag dili graduating, sir, sa basta 4th year lang status. Pwede mag-overload.
With that, kung siya dili graduating good siya.
Graduating good?
Graduating good siya. Okay, para sa ako before atong first semester, 4th year kunya gusto na akong magpa-expand, di siya pwede maka-expand kay di man ko graduating.
Ulo.
So kana dapat graduating good siya. Pero
Ulbo na kayo na
sa una na to, try ako na siya if kuan ba siya, if kana i-try siya if possible ba siya. There's no harm trying. I-try lang, basin pa din mo lusot.
Sige. Salamat, sir.
Okay, sige. Bye-bye.